Welcome to Healing Our Relationships, the podcast. I'm Marisa, healer, transformation guide, and someone who has spent the last 17 years coming home to herself. This podcast was born from a powerful circle I lead each month, where women gather live on Zoom to unearth their codependent patterns, reclaim their truth, and return home to themselves. Here, I bring these same teachings and transmissions to you. Each episode, I'll help you understand what codependency actually is, not in a clinical or shame-based way, but through the lens of spiritual healing and personal empowerment. We'll explore the real impact these patterns have on your nervous system, your relationships, your sense of self, and your spirit. I'll offer grounded tools, guided inquiries, perception shifts, and an invitation to heal in community, not just alone. This is a space for deep truth-telling, for remembering who you are beneath the stories and the shape-shifting, and for walking each other home. You don't have to do this perfectly, you just have to begin. So let's get started. Welcome back. Before we jump in today, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been listening and messaging me, and just the outpour of love and appreciation for this podcast and the sharing that you've been doing with people that you love. It really means so much to me. So I'm so happy this is landing for you. And I always want to invite all of you to reach out, especially if you have any questions or there's anything you really want me to talk about. I really want this to be a space for you. And my intention is to educate you, to help you shift your perception, and to inspire you into living in your most authentic self. And so thank you, thank you. In the last episode, we talked about the divine unfolding of your authentic self and how it can be really challenging when you're inside of this work and you're being asked to step into a place of love or devotion or compassion when those energies feel so far away. And in the first episode, I gave you very specific behaviors to tap into to figure out what is codependency. And the reason why I did that is because when I first came to this work, I didn't know what was mine. I didn't know what was codependency. I didn't know what was true caring. I felt that a lot of my suffering was of my own making because I could feel the insecurity, the fear, and the self-abandonment. But I really needed direct action. I needed to understand what is codependency and what is the contrary action. And so in this episode, I really want to hone in on low self-esteem patterns of codependency. And if you are someone who feels like you don't have low self-esteem patterns, I would really invite you to consider staying with me on this journey today, because at the root of low self-esteem patterns are some core beliefs that a lot of people carry, even if they tend to live in more denial or avoidant places in their life. These core beliefs sit with a lot of people. And so when I was thinking about this episode and how I wanted to approach it, and I want to give you very specific things so you are coming into a deeper awareness and you're understanding what is yours to transform inside of your relationships, I was thinking about the core beliefs that exist for people who are constantly shape-shifting, because low self-esteem is not just somebody who's insecure or doesn't love themselves. It's also a pattern of living. It is a consistent way of showing up where your sense of worth is externalized, it's negotiated, or constantly up for debate. That however you feel about yourself is contingent upon whoever is in front of you, affirming you, telling you it's okay. It can show up as over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-functioning, like literally seeking permission at times just to exist and be yourself. It's waiting for validation. It's staying small because if you're visible, it feels dangerous. And when you live in those low self-esteem patterns all the time, you really feel your nervous system in that sense of often fight or flight or freeze, like that you're just in survival. And you've trained yourself to just abandon to belong, abandoned to be received, abandoned to be enough, abandoned to be worthy, abandoned to be perfect, abandoned because I don't trust myself, I trust someone else. And those are the core beliefs that we're going to dive into today. So I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I can't trust myself. And if I show up fully as my authentic self, I will be rejected. These beliefs, in all the years I've been doing this work with other people, not one person has come to me without 1, 2, 3, or maybe all of these beliefs. And in my opinion, I don't know if you ever are completely free from the fear of wondering if you're doing enough, or wondering if you can trust yourself, or being afraid to show up fully in your authenticity. I think that part of the human experience is the dance that we do with the world. And while today I fully believe that I am enough, I still struggle with days where I go, am I doing enough? While I fully feel worthy, I sometimes find myself in relationships where I am not living in my full worthiness, that I might still be people-pleasing or catch myself shape-shifting. That while I do absolutely trust myself, there are days and times where I question. And while I do love to show up fully, I would be lying to you if I told you that that wasn't scary. And I share this with you because it's important for you to know that we're not trying to get rid of the human experience. What I have along every single one of those beliefs or stories or fears that pop up in my life, what I have today is a deep love, reverence, and trust for myself. I have a compassionate aspect to myself that holds me inside of all those things so that I do not live from those core beliefs. And with the low self-esteem patterns, in all of the ways they show up, you can almost always pull them back to one of those core beliefs. So I want to read for you just to orient you. I did put these in one of the first couple episodes, but I'm going to read them again because I just want you to listen and acknowledge from a place of compassion which one of these things feels like something that you struggle with or something that you do. Okay? So you have difficulty making decisions. You judge what you say, think, or do harshly as never good enough. You're embarrassed to receive recognition, praise, or gifts. You tend to value other people's approval of your own thinking and your own feeling and your own behavior over your own. So you're seeking that external validation. You might not perceive yourself as lovable or a worthwhile person. You might constantly be seeking recognition and affirmation in order to feel safe, in order to feel deserving. You might have difficulty admitting you make a mistake because you are driven by perfection. You might always need to appear to be right and even lie or manipulate or shapeshift to look good. You might be unable to ask people for what you need and share what your desires are, and you shove your needs and desires under the rug to be easy. You also might perceive yourself as superior. So a lot of times people think, oh, narcissists, they don't have low self-esteem. Oh, people who are always going one up on people. That is not true. That's why I want you to listen to all of these episodes, because people with low self-esteem are not just people that are insecure. And when people are insecure, deeply insecure, it can show up as being better than someone else. That I am going to perceive myself as superior, which is technically walling off, which is technically like a avoidant and a control pattern. So all of these kind of mesh into each other. So again, you don't have to be an insecure person or consider yourself insecure to experience these low self-esteem patterns. In low self-esteem patterns, you're abandoning yourself for someone else. You're saying yes when you mean no, and you really have a difficulty setting your own priorities and boundaries. And so, as I mentioned, really getting clear on, wow, these are behaviors that I engage in. This is my way of acting. Nobody is forcing me to do this. I have done these behaviors in my life for so long to keep me safe. Well, what is the contrary action? What would I do differently if I don't want to be in a place of fake it till you make it or positive affirmation? I ended up beginning this work in the program of Codependence Anonymous. So unless you're just popping in, I have a recovery background, a very expansive view on recovery. And I really have spent the last 10 years unlearning programming. So I want to invite you to have an open mind here. If you're like, I don't like 12-step, I don't like programs, I promise you this medicine, this way of perceiving and the way they broke it down was absolutely life-changing for me. And I want to bring that here to you because I didn't understand what the contrary action was. I didn't know how to set boundaries. I didn't know how to be any different. It was very confusing. So, for example, in a low self-esteem pattern, if I have difficulty making a decision and I look to other people to make decisions for me and I honor and accept that that's something I do, I'm living in awareness around that. Then, if I am living in a healthy relationship to myself, I have to begin to trust in my ability to make effective decisions. And the only way I'm going to be able to trust that ability is by practicing it, is by making decisions. And the core belief that is attached to this, well, there's multiple, I just went over them with you, but one of them that I'm going to loop this to is perfection. Is that if you're constantly trying to be perfect, if you're constantly trying to do it right so that it's enough or that it's worthy, then you will be debilitated in decision making. You have to allow yourself to be in your humanity. You have to allow yourself to just do your best. It's one of my favorite agreements of Don Miguel's. Just do your best. So, codependents also often judge themselves. That voice, judging what you're saying, what you're doing, it's never good enough. In a healthy relationship to yourself, the contrary action, the practice is, I accept myself as I am, and I emphasize progress over perfection. I accept myself as I am. And that's hard for people. They'll come to me and say, I really can't accept myself as I am. Well, let's dig deeper. Sounds like there's some guilt. Sounds like there's some shame. Sounds like there's some pain. Sounds like there's some story. What story are you telling yourself? Why don't you give yourself permission to have progress over perfection? Oh, because I lived so long in my family of origin where I was verbally or physically abused because I didn't do it right, or I didn't have it all together, or I didn't say the right thing, and I didn't use the right language. And so my dad would always say, I can't understand you, or whatever it is, right? We go back to the root of our trauma. We go back to that episode I did on how trauma shapes codependency. And you acknowledge and you honor how this was created, and then you take your power back by having the courage to believe that you don't have to live that way and you don't have to live from someone else's belief, agreement, domestication, and abuse. That you are worthy of self-acceptance. And if there's something about yourself that you would like to change, that's where radical sudden honesty comes in, then you invite that change. You do the hard thing. Let's do another one. I value other people's approval or thinking or feelings and behavior over my own. Do you value other people's approval? Do you change your mind? Do you have an opinion and someone goes, well, I kind of think this, and then you go, oh, yeah, that's not what I meant. Do you want to do something with your life, but you really want this other person to approve of you, so you don't do it? Do you really care about someone else's feelings, so you shapeshift yours, so you say yes when you mean no? That's the codependent pattern. In the healing our relationship to ourself pattern is I can value the opinions of those that I trust. I can value it without needing to gain their approval, without erasing myself. I deserve to have confidence in myself. How can you practice that just one time today? Valuing your own opinion, hearing yourself say something and go, yeah, that was my truth. Having confidence in who you are, without making an assumption that you're going to walk in a room and suddenly you lose all that confidence that you had when you were putting that thing together, or you were really certain about what you wanted to say or how you wanted to show up. If this work was easy, everybody would do it. It's hard because it pushes you to your edge, because for so long you've been living with these voices that say, you're not enough, you have to be perfect, you can't make a mistake. In codependency, you avoid mistake at all cost, which means you might not function. You might not even be living as vibrantly and expressively as you can. You might not start things. You might not finish things. In a healthy relationship to yourself, you live in awareness. You live in awareness around your humanity. And when you are wrong, or when you do make a mistake, or you hurt someone, or you make a decision that causes harm, you acknowledge it and you honor it. You admit it to yourself. And then your living amends is to practice doing better the next time. One of the most powerful things that I learned in recovery was it was okay for me to be wrong, because every time I was wrong and I had a moment of awareness, it was this deeper level of healing and this ability to make amends. And I watched time and time again myself heal relationships that I thought were totally broken and couldn't come back. Most people just want to be seen and heard. Most people love an apology. Most people don't hold people to this crazy standard. Most people allow for humanity. And we're not giving one another enough credit when we're all constantly shape-shifting for each other. We're not letting one another be responsible for their own feelings, for their own hurt, for their own boundary setting. And codependency, being unable to identify or ask for what you need and what you want. And not even not being able to do it, but maybe you've just got to a place where you just don't even do it. Oh, you pick. What do you want to do? I don't care. Do you mind doing this? Sure, even if you don't. In a healthy relationship to yourself, the practice is I do meet my own needs and wants when it's possible. And I reach out for help when it's necessary and when it's appropriate. Where today in this week do you find yourself not asking for what you need or not knowing what you want? If you don't know what you want in your life, there's a good chance you're not spending enough time with yourself, really exploring the desires of your heart, really returning to your soul, really understanding that you have a sacred purpose and a holy longing. If you spend so much time focusing on everyone else because focusing on yourself is uncomfortable, that is codependency. That's a pattern of behavior. And that's what's so powerful about all this work is it is a pattern of behavior, and patterns can be changed. The beliefs at the root, the core beliefs, those are harder, those take more time. But the pattern, if you have the courage, you can absolutely take contrary action. If you look for other people to provide your sense of safety, if how you feel about yourself and your day is contingent about how your partner walks through the door, you can have a choice to sit with yourself. You can have a choice to be like, wow, I was in a really good mood. This person came into my energy field, projected all their stuff onto me, and now I'm feeling the need to fix it and be hypervigilant and do all these things. And even though I want to do that so bad, and the thought of them being upset or upset with me is so uncomfortable, I'm going to go in my room. I'm going to remove myself from the energy. I'm going to sit with my discomfort, and I'm going to turn towards myself and ask myself, what do I need first? Low self-esteem people, imagine that in every moment when you want to take care of somebody else's stuff before yours, that you're going to go put your oxygen mask on first. You're going to go check in and tune in with yourself first before you go and engage with the other person. It's the sacred pause when you're learning to set boundaries, because these are boundaries. These are boundaries. And when you're learning to set them, it's uncomfortable. It's not probably in your nature. So it's always going to feel awkward, and it's always going to feel very weird. But if you can take a sacred pause, and remember, if you're on this journey with me so far, you most likely have awareness now. And once you have awareness, my teacher Jose always says, once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. And it's the most beautiful part about this work, is that once I share with you an entire episode on the belief of I'm not enough, there's no way the next time you tell yourself you're not enough that you're not going to think for a second, shoot, this is a story. Should I question it? Should I trust Marisa and take a sacred pause? It's like you can't unhear it, which I promise you is a good thing, even though it feels hard. Now, let's loop in those other core beliefs that I named in the beginning, because they can all be looped in to these patterns of behavior. This idea that you're not worthy. Well, I'm not worthy of having an opinion. I'm not worthy of taking up space. I'm not worthy of being human and making a mistake. You know, when you live from a place of I'm not worthy unless I earn it, I'm not worthy unless I am this, fill in the blank, it drives you into a deep emotional exhaustion. It's hypervigilance disguised as devotion. It's not love. And remember, the difference between codependency and true caring is that true caring comes from a place of love for yourself and someone else. In codependency, you erase yourself in order to appease someone else, yourself, or the situation. And when you erase yourself, you're telling yourself that you are not worthy. And I'm not telling you that your belief of you're not worthy, just don't believe that. Just put a Post-it on your mirror. You learned that somewhere. Someone along the way told you you weren't worthy, or you self-affirmed that you weren't worthy for so long that you live from a place of unworthiness. And so I would invite you, with the belief of I'm not worthy, to check in and ask yourself, am I living in worthiness to myself? Can I offer myself something today without needing to deserve it? And who or what taught me that love had to be earned? Compassionate curiosity. Ask yourself questions. Your greatest tool is going to be asking yourself questions. Where did I learn that I'm not enough? And where am I still trying to prove my worth and my life? What would change in my life if I lived from a place of enoughness? I really don't like this word enough. It's an illusion. It is constantly a moving target, because what is enough? Not enough for your father? That's just his own version of enough. Not enough for your boss? That's just their own version. Not enough for your lover? That's just their own version. But if you're constantly trying to be enough for someone else and you're not being enough for yourself, that's self-love. I'm enough. I am enough. Doesn't mean I don't have things to work on, but I'm a whole, complete person with a lot to give, and I'm not here to serve and be your sacred purpose or reason for living. I'm not here to appease and be everything that you need me to be. We have to agree mutually to be in co-creation with one another. We have to accept one another inside of relationship. That doesn't mean we can't struggle and we don't suffer, because every single relationship does. But the healthy relationships are the ones where both people have awareness. Healthy relationships should be resilient enough to handle mistakes, resilient enough to handle imperfection, resilient enough to handle disappointment, resilient enough to handle judgment and criticism or discomfort, so that when you show up fully and in your authenticity, it might make someone uncomfortable. It might make them uncomfortable because they're worried about what other people think. It most of the time makes them uncomfortable because they're judging themselves just as much as they're judging you. But if you choose to stay in your authenticity, nothing will be more inspiring, and you get to see if the person that you're with, or the person you're in relationship with or working with or friends with or whoever it is, you get to see if they can love you without condition, if they can love you in your authenticity, and they cannot make it about them. We are not a reflection of the other people in our lives, and other people are not a reflection of you. They might be a reflection of your choices, for sure. And if you're not okay with your choices or uncomfortable with your choices, then guess what? You need to figure out your yes and your no. You don't need to ask somebody to change. Doesn't mean you can't set a boundary. It doesn't mean you can't make a request. Doesn't mean you can't compromise. But when we go around staying in relationships with people and we don't like the way that they're acting, and we're not acknowledging and honoring that we're saying yes to that person every day, that we're choosing them, that's ours. That's ours. If we begin to allow ourselves to show up fully, if we allow ourselves to be imperfect, if we allow ourselves to be rejected and trust that it's not always about us, if we allow ourselves to get a decision that doesn't work out, if we allow ourselves to say, I'm worthy, I'm going to do this, and someone bumps up against us and it kind of hurts or it's painful, and then we get embarrassed or ashamed and we want to go hide under a rock, but then the next day we go, nope, you know what? I'm worthy. I'm going to take up this space. I'm going to keep going. If we are telling ourselves, I am going to be enough, I'm going to be comfortable in my body, I'm going to be comfortable in my spirit, I am smart enough, I am good enough for me, and I want to call in other people that say yes to that for me. I want to call in resilient relationships. If you want to call in resilient relationships, you have to build up your resilience to these stories and these voices in your head that are not true. They really aren't true. Everyone is worthy of love. Everyone is worthy of trusting themselves. Everyone is worthy of being in their authenticity. And everyone is worthy of getting rid of this stupid word, enough. And if you're bumped up against somebody who has a gauge for enoughness, then you get to choose. And that means you have to fight your fear of being alone. You have to fight your fear of ending relationships you've been in for a really long time. You have to honor that you've been unfolding, and maybe the person next to you isn't unfolding in the same way. You know, a lot of times we do this work and we stay in the relationships we're in. A lot of times we do this work and we leave and we end them because they're no longer in alignment. Because you will get to a place where you deeply love and revere yourself. And if you're with somebody that doesn't love you as much as you love for yourself, you're going to bump up against that pain, and it will make you question. And you will go to that episode of should I stay or should I go? And you will have to sit with yourself and be in that discomfort as you grow, as you begin to set boundaries and begin to see what people in the world are able to hold that for you. You don't have to fix yourself to be worthy of love. And I don't believe that we're all here to be constantly living a life of constant self-correction. We're here to experience ourselves fully, deeply, and truly. That is also experiencing our shadow and the parts of us that, are painful and cause harm. But if you try to do this journey in this crazy linear way, that if you just fix yourself or do something different, like that's not what transformation is. For me, that's not what alchemy is. Yes, with awareness, it's challenging and it's uncomfortable to make these other decisions. It's uncomfortable to make these tiny changes. That's the fire. That's the torch. But if you keep going, you melt away the old ways and you really allow yourself, like I always say, to divinely unfold. And so I want you to think about your low self-esteem patterns. In what ways do you abandon yourself to be loved? In what ways do you erase yourself? In what ways are you giving other people the power in your life? And then I also want you to reflect on these core beliefs. I am not enough. And really ask yourself, take some time to journal. Who told me I wasn't enough? And whose voices live inside of that belief? And if I was to check in with myself now, what does enough mean to me? From a place of truth and love, what is enough for me? And then really practice setting a small boundary for yourself this week, making one of those tiny changes, like allow someone to be disappointed with you and let that be theirs and don't carry it. I'm not worthy of love unless I earn it. I'm not worthy of this person that I'm with. I'm not worthy of being cared for. I'm not worthy. If you feel indebted to everyone and responsible for how other people feel about you, again, this isn't love. It's hypervigilance. You're erasing, you're disguising your pain with devotion. So this week, receive fully. Receive love. Receive a compliment. Receive a moment of rest. Receive support you didn't ask for. Don't try to earn it. Don't try to explain. Don't push it away. Just one moment. Receive from someone else. Do it with yourself too, but from someone else. Ask for something that you need or want. I can't trust myself. I want you to think of yourself as rebuilding trust. It's not a moment that's going to happen overnight. And in one of those episodes, I asked you to think about, what do you know about yourself to be absolutely true? Today, this week, I want you to think about, what do you trust yourself to do? There's probably a lot of things that you trust yourself to do. I trust myself to be a good friend. I trust myself to answer the phone when somebody calls me a couple times and something could be wrong. I trust myself to show up for my children. I trust myself to not drink today. I trust myself to make good decisions. I trust myself to show up to work on time. I trust myself to be honest. For now, I just want you to focus on the things that you can trust about yourself. Maybe you even make yourself some kind of promise and you keep it, right? This is how your trust is going to return. You have an inner knowing. Explore it. You have wisdom. Seek it. Turn inward. Coming to a place of trust is all about turning towards yourself in every single moment that you're activated and you're triggered. I'm not telling you to bypass, suppress, or repress what happened, but I'm asking you to sacred pause and turn toward yourself and ask yourself a question and get the answer. And that's how you're going to practice trust. If I show up in my authenticity, I will be rejected. Okay, this belief, it's old. And guess what? I want you to give yourself permission this week to be rejected. There's a little mantra I tell myself all the time, because I'm always putting things out there in the world. And it's gather your nose, babe. Gather your nose. Get rejected. If you don't show up fully, you're not going to get your yeses. Gather the stones so you can gather the flowers. People will throw stones or they'll throw flowers. I'm not going to miss out on those flowers because I'm afraid to show up fully in my authenticity. So don't shrink this week. Don't edit yourself out of fear of what someone will think. Don't try to stay safe. Be risky. You're not here to be palatable. You're here to be a whole, full person. Be mindful. We want to be mindful that we don't bulldoze over people in a situation. We want to be mindful of our energy and whatever, but be yourself fully. Wear something that you're afraid to wear. Go somewhere that you've been afraid to go. Take up some space. And even if you are not ready to go do it out in the world, do it in the privacy of your own house then, in the mirror. Show up fully for yourself. I want you to see yourself fully. It might not be a bad idea for you to dress in a way that feels fully yourself. If I was going to be fully and authentically myself and I wanted to express all that I felt today, what would I wear? How would I do my hair? What music would I listen to? You can do this stuff in a safe place close in. But then I want to encourage you to push your boundaries. I really believe that we all carry low self-esteem patterns. And if your low self-esteem pattern manifests as rejecting people and walling off and saying you don't need anybody, I really want to invite you to lean in. And I really want to invite you to be mindful of how much you are judging other people because you are judging yourself. And do you use your judgment to push people away? From a place of love, from a place of compassion, we witness ourselves. So use these tools. Remember that you're not alone. Keep yourself living in awareness. Invite that compassionate observer. I love you and I'm proud of you, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you for being here with me. If something in this episode landed, if it stirred something in your heart or helped you feel less alone, please give me a rate and review and share with a friend. You can always learn more about me and what I offer at healwithalchemy.com. And if you're longing for community, for live connection and real conversation, I host a free Healing Our Relationships circle on the last Thursday of the month on Zoom. You can join us by downloading my app, HealSpace. It's free, and the circle lives right there in the app, along with my meditations, offerings, and a space to be seen. If you're ready to go deeper, I'll be guiding Awakening Woman, my next in-person retreat in Sedona this November. A weekend of breathwork, healing, ritual, sisterhood. It's a powerful space for transformation, and there are a few spots left. My next Mystery School cohort opens this October. It's a sacred container for women walking a spiritual path. We work with archetypes, shadow, and the divine feminine, and it's a full journey around the sun. 12 months, 6 women. You'll find all the details for retreat, mystery school, and so much more at healwithalchemy.com. Come find the space that speaks to you in your season. I'm so grateful to be here with you, and I'll see you soon.